Yo, what's up guys, it's Rob, and today we're going to be looking at the Pwnage Ultra Custom Symmetrical, and this is the solid version. Before I get started, just want to let you guys know I added this mouse to my mouse review sheet. Link to that is down in the description. I add every single mouse I review into that sheet, and I will also be adding gameplay at the end of the video, clips that I got while testing this mouse, so stick around for that. So this mouse comes out to $80 and it came out Q1 of 2021 this month. The pre-orders were available last year, but they didn't ship until this month. Like I said earlier, this is the solid version of the Pwnage Ultra Custom Symmetrical, so it doesn't have the holes on the side. But the version with holes, they both cost the same amount, but it only shaves off just a tiny bit of weight. It isn't anything significant. But it does come with this different top shell with holes on it, just to shave off an extra bit of weight, and they are replaceable extremely easily. They snap on very nice, and it doesn't really come off while you're using the mouse or anything like that, so you really don't have to worry about that at all. Mouse 1 and mouse 2 also come off very easily. You just lift this small thing up and then you pull it up, and then that's pretty much it. Just comes off very easily, and it goes back in extremely easily as well. Just push it back into place. And there you go, snaps on. And of course the top shell snaps on very easily as well. There are a lot of different colors you can choose from when it comes to the mouse 1 and mouse 2 shell and the top shell. So it is pretty cool that it's very customizable like that. And also this mouse is pretty much the exact same shape as the Zowie S2. It's pretty much a clone of that mouse when it comes to the shape at least. So if you really want to, this mouse can be used without the top shell to reduce some weight if you'd like. So without the top shell, the mouse comes out to 69-70 grams. With the shell with holes on it, the mouse comes out to 74-75 grams. And now for the solid shell, the mouse will come out to 76-77 grams. I really just ended up using the mouse with the solid shell because I think it looks much nicer than the one with holes, and I just don't really mind the weight difference. It's barely even notable while using the mouse anyway, so I really didn't think it was a big deal. Also, when you lift the mouse, you can kind of tell that the weight balance is off. The weight is shifted more towards the back of the mouse, and I'm pretty sure it's because of the battery. But it isn't something that I notice while actively using the mouse. I can only really feel it when I pick up the mouse like this, but when I'm moving it around and all that, it's really nothing notable. And it definitely isn't as bad as something like on the G305, so you really don't have to worry about that. I really don't like the weight balance issue with a G305, but when using the mouse, it's really hard to even tell that the weight balance is somewhat off. But like I said before, doesn't really feel like it has a weight balance issue while using it, only when you lift it up, so it really shouldn't be an issue. Also, this does have a USB-C port, which is pretty nice. I really don't understand the craze with USB-C, but I know a lot of people like it, so that's good, I guess. So by default, the polling rate of this mouse is set to 500 and not 1000. You can change it when you download the software and change it to 1000 if you'd like, but that will drain the battery life of this mouse a lot. And if you turn on the RGB, that will drain it even more. So I used this mouse with a 500 Hertz polling rate and without RGB on, and it really only lasted around 5 to 6 days before I had to start charging it. The mouse does charge pretty fast, but if you turn on the RGB and the 1000 Hertz polling rate, be ready to charge this bad boy every 2 to 3 days. The battery life is nothing compared to other top mice, unfortunately, but for me, it really isn't much of a big deal because all you have to really do is just charge it, so it's not that bad, but I know it can be an issue for some people. So now when I do turn on the RGB, here on the scroll wheel, as you can see, I have the color set to cyan, but it's bleeding green. And this is what happens with some colors on the scroll wheel at least. It will bleed a different color than what you have set. So here, let me switch it to yellow. Hold on. Okay, boom, right there. As you can see, it's yellow, but it's still bleeding green, and it has something to do with the LED inside of the mouse. I really didn't want to mess with it or anything, but I just thought it was something to note. If you are into RGB and all that stuff, I really don't mind it, but I know some people love the way RGB looks on their mice, so I just thought it was something to note. And of course, the RGB and the polling rate and all those settings can be changed in the software, but you cannot change the liftoff distance. However, the liftoff distance really isn't high. It's still around the low range, so it really isn't a big deal at all. So now for the shape of the mouse. Like I said earlier, this is a clone of the Zowie S2, which is an amazing shape. I really enjoyed the shape a lot. It makes me kind of want to get a Zowie S2 now, but I think this shape is definitely ideal for claw. I mainly use claw grip, and it was perfect for me at my hand size. I really couldn't palm the mouse. I could probably get away with it, but it just really isn't all that comfortable because of the size, the height, and the positioning of the hump of the back. It really isn't all that comfortable for palm, but I could also use this mouse for fingertip, but I really do think that claw is just ideal for this shape of mouse. My hand size is 17.5 centimeters long by 9.5 centimeters wide. And the length of the mouse is 120 millimeters long, 64 millimeters in width, and for the height, it is 40 millimeters. The coating of the mouse is pretty grippy, but it is definitely more sleek than the Pwnage Ultra Custom Ergo version. I definitely get more of a rubber feeling and grippy feeling with the Ergo version. This definitely feels more sleek, but it is still pretty grippy. I had no issues with it. I have very sweaty hands, and so coating of mice are a really big deal for me. But I didn't run into any slipperiness or anything like that with this mouse, so the coating is perfectly fine. The cable of the mouse is pretty stiff, unfortunately. I know it is a wireless mouse, so it doesn't really matter, but I just definitely thought I would point it out anyway. It does seem like the same exact cable as the Ergo version, so that's pretty unfortunate, but like I said earlier, USB-C, and well, it's a wireless mouse, so it doesn't really matter all that much. So now for the mouse feet. You do get 2 extra sets of mouse feet that come with the mouse, which is always awesome, of course. And you get 2 sets of different thicknesses for the mouse feet. So one of them, which is thicker, is like 1 millimeter, and the thinner set of mouse feet is like 0.5 millimeter, so you can choose to replace these. It already comes with the 1 millimeter thickness of the mouse feet, so if you do want to just switch them out with the thinner ones, you definitely can. The mouse feet did provide a smooth glide, but they didn't offer much of a fast glide. They were pretty slow compared to other mice I've used. It still feels nice when moving the mouse, but you just don't get a very fast glide with these mouse feet. If you do want a faster glide with the mouse feet of this mouse, I would recommend maybe buying aftermarket skates, or maybe even trying the thinner mouse feet. Maybe that would help. Who knows? I didn't really try the thinner mouse feet, but it might make a difference, so you might want to consider trying those out. But I didn't get any scratchiness or any other issues, so they weren't bad at all. Also, they kind of look like they're rounded. I'm not really sure if they're rounded out or indented in. That you do see like a bit of an indentation on the outer portions of the mouse feet, but it's so minimal that you can't even tell whether they're popping out or just indented in. I couldn't really tell, but really isn't that much of a big deal, and didn't have any major issues with the mouse feet, so other than the slow glide, they work perfectly fine. So now for mouse 1 and mouse 2. You do get a very nice crisp click when pressing down on either mouse 1 or mouse 2. No pre or post travel either. Unfortunately, on my copy, I do get some side play on both mouse 1 and mouse 2, but I really haven't seen many others with this issue. I'm assuming it's just my copy, unfortunately. I did order another set of the mouse 1 and mouse 2 shell with another top shell, so I'm just waiting for those to come in to see whether or not those will also have side play, but from people that I know, I really haven't heard them complain that they've had the side play issue. And also, mouse 1 and mouse 2 are pretty damn stiff. They definitely require above average force to actuate compared to other clicks, so definitely keep this in mind, and these might be some of the stiffer clicks on any mouse that I have used, which is pretty insane. They are definitely more stiff than the Rocket Burst Pro or the XM1, so if you do like more sensitive clicks, just definitely keep this in mind. I do prefer heavier clicks on my mice, so this was perfectly fine for me, but I know it isn't a preference of everybody. And now for the side buttons. The side buttons and the DPI button both have kind of like a glossy coating. It is pretty shiny, but it really isn't all that big of a deal. I'm just glad the whole rest of the mouse isn't glossy, so that's good. But I get no pre or post travel when pressing down on either of them, and you do get a nice click when pressing them. I didn't run into any issues with either of them. They were good size and they worked perfectly fine. Definitely some of the nicer side buttons that I have tried. So now for the scroll wheel. Like I said earlier, I did mention the RGB LED problem earlier. So now for the performance of the scroll wheel. When scrolling up, the scroll wheel feels great, but when scrolling down, I would sometimes accidentally press down on middle mouse button. If you're someone who plays Fortnite and uses scroll wheels reset or just requires your scroll wheel a lot, just keep in mind that when scrolling down, I would sometimes accidentally press down on middle mouse button. I think this is just because it gets lighter to press as you're scrolling it or something. I'm not quite sure exactly, but when pressing it normally, it just seems to require average actuation force. I never accidentally scrolled up or down when pressing down on middle mouse button, and you do get a nice click when pressing down on middle mouse button. Other than the scrolling down and accidentally pressing down on it, it performed really well, and I had no issues with it. So now for the build quality of the mouse. The build quality of the mouse is actually amazing. It is a very solid mouse, definitely very well built, and it feels of very high quality as well. When stress testing the mouse, I get no flex anywhere on it, and even though you can change the top shell, it never really comes off when using the mouse accidentally or anything like that, and it's just extremely solid. And even when I test out or stress test the shell with holes, I still get no flex anywhere, and it's just built really, really well. Definitely a very high quality feeling mouse. So would I recommend this mouse? Yes, I definitely would. It certainly isn't for everybody, but it is still a very solid mouse. It does have very low battery life compared to other top mice, which is quite unfortunate. So if that's an issue with you, then I definitely wouldn't recommend it for you, especially if you want 1000 Hz polling rate or RGB on. It would just die in like 2 to 3 days of use. But if you don't mind charging it a lot or using 500 Hz with no RGB on, then it will last a bit longer. Also keep in mind, for those who prefer sensitive clicks, these clicks are pretty damn heavy, so it might not be for you if you like really light clicks. But other than the side play on my copy, the scroll wheel being somewhat sensitive when scrolling down, I really didn't have any major issues with the mouse, and it performed really well, and I really enjoyed using it. I really like this shape, and it's kind of making me want to buy the Zowie S2. I will be showing clips that I got while using this mouse here in a sec, so definitely stick around for that, and I'll see you guys later. Thank you guys for watching. Bye!
Gotcha, bitch!
Impressive. 2 frags in 2 seconds. Impressive.
You
Thank you so much, really.
Good effort, though. Proud of you still.
Hey, I'm proud of you, kid.
Impressive.
We're talking. Are we the best squad to ever roam this earth?
I mean,
Crazy.
the score seems to say so. God, nuts! You literally
Really?
reached into heaven to get that goal.
I double touched it too.
Sheesh.
It should be illegal.
I don't disagree.
That was disgusting.
Impressive. Headshot.
I'm in the...
No, you don't.
Standing. 2 frags in 2 seconds. 1. Fight.
How did I hit that? Oh my god, how did I hit that? Oh my goodness. Y'all's day. Oh, what a mistake. Ooh, okay, not so much. I got...
Impressive. 2 frags in 2 seconds. Next one.
No.
Last standing.
I win, puto! You are easy, fucker, gringos.
Hey man, it's not as easy as fucking your mom in the ass!
I win, puto! You are easy, fucker, gringos.
Hey man, it's not as easy